This is Fitness Blender's brutal 35-minute bodyweight workout. Even if you're an exercise veteran, consider doing one set of the full 3 your first time through. This workout routine consists of 4 groups of 3 exercises, and you'll be doing 3 sets of each exercise. For this routine, you'll need a bench or a chair, and a pull-up bar or pull-up straps. Let's go ahead and get started with Group 1. We're going to start with a single leg push-up, and we'll be doing 8 repetitions on each side. Go ahead and get ready, and begin. The most important thing to focus on is making sure that those feet stay nice and wide apart. The wider apart they are, the harder it's going to be. We're almost done here. And go ahead and switch those feet after this one. Pull that other leg up and start right back in. The other thing to look for is making sure you're keeping those hips nice and low, just as a traditional push-up. Almost done, and that's your last one. All right, go ahead and stand up for this next exercise. This is the single leg squat. We're going to be doing 10 repetitions on each leg. Go ahead and get ready, and begin. You want to focus on keeping that leg up nice and high out of the way. Try not to let it touch the ground, and try to get a nice deep squat on that opposite leg. Just keep that motion nice and slow under control. Same thing applies with a regular squat. Try to keep that knee back behind that toe as best you can. There's no weight above your shoulders on this one, so you don't have to worry so much about trying to keep your back nice and flat. But it is something you want to be aware of. Just got a few more repetitions through. And just one more. And let it relax. All right, we're going to switch over to the other side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Same thing, try to keep that leg up there nice and high. Nice low squat on the other leg. Nice smooth motion. You want to try to keep a constant pace going down and back up. Try not to squat really quickly or pop up really fast. Just got a few more repetitions to go through. Almost done. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. Back down on the mat. You've got a Pilates back bow as the next one. We're doing 14 repetitions of this. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Try to raise those arms and legs nice and high, keeping those elbows and knees straight. You want to keep those biceps right next to your ears as best you can. Arms fully extended straight up in front of that shoulder. Nice and slow. You're going to squeeze it up nice and tight. Get that lower back and those glutes involved. Exhale as you go up. Inhale as you drop back down. Exhale. Inhale. You just got a few more repetitions through. Really squeeze at the top each time. Almost done. Just one left. And let it relax. That was our first set of Group 1. So now we're moving on to set 2. Starting back over with a single leg push-up. We're 8 repetitions on each side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, try to keep that back nice and straight, keeping those feet as wide apart as you possibly can. Remember, the wider those feet go, the harder it is. We're almost done with this one. And go ahead and switch those feet. Start up again. Remember, the wider those feet go, the closer this is going to be to doing a single arm push-up. And there's your last one right here. Go ahead and let it relax. Moving on to the single leg squat. Remember, 10 repetitions on each side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. You're going to keep that left leg up as high as you possibly can. Getting as low as possibly can on that right leg. Nice slow fluid motion. Trying to keep that knee back behind that toe. It helps to try to stretch out those hamstrings before doing this one. Gives you a little extra range of motion on that left leg as you're trying to lift it up here. Just got a few more repetitions to go through. And there's your last one. Go ahead and let it stop. We're going to switch over to the other side. Get ready. And begin. Now with that right leg up, squatting on that left leg. Remember, you don't have to worry quite so much about letting that back round because you don't have any weight above your shoulders. But you do want to be conscious about it. Try to keep it as straight as you can. Try to squat as low as you possibly can. Just remember, keep that knee back behind that toe, all your weight back in that heel, just like a traditional squat. You should have a few more to go through. And here's your last one. And let it relax. You're onto the Pilates back bow next. Remember, 14 repetitions of this. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Try to get those arms and legs up there as high as you possibly can. A really nice tight squeeze to that lower back and those glutes. Make sure you're keeping those legs perfectly straight. Make sure you're keeping those arms perfectly straight. Keep those arms nice and high up next to those ears. Try not to shrug those shoulders into that neck. Also, remember that breathing. Exhale on the way up. Inhale on the way down. Just got a few more repetitions through. And one more. And let it relax. And that's the end of set number 2 for group number 1. Now we're moving on to set number 3. Back to that single leg push-up. Remember, 8 repetitions on each side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Nice straight back, feet nice and wide apart. Got one more repetition. And go ahead and switch those feet. Start right back into the other side. Keep that motion going nice and controlled. Feet nice and wide. We're almost done. And here's your last repetition right here. Go ahead and let it relax. Onto that single leg squat next. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, your legs are probably getting nice and tired by this point, so really focus on trying to keep nice, clean form. Take your time. Really make sure that weight's back in that heel, that knee staying back behind that toe. Just power through this one. Just got a couple more repetitions. And here's your last one. And let it relax. All right, remember, got to do the other side. Go ahead and switch sides. Get ready. And start it up. Knee back behind that toe. Weight in your heel. Try to keep that back as straight as you can. Don't let that right foot touch the ground. Just keep that motion going, nice and slow, under control. Take your time with it. I know those legs are starting to get tired. Almost done. And here's your last repetition right here. And let it relax. All right, down on the mat. Pilates back bows are next. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, pull those legs and arms up as high as you possibly can. Really arch that back. Be sure to keep those legs nice and straight, those arms nice and straight. Make sure those arms stay up by your ears. Make sure those shoulders aren't pushing up into your neck. Really concentrate on that form as you start getting tired. Just got a few more repetitions to go through. And just one more. And there it is. Go ahead and let it relax. All right, that is the end of our first group. Pause it here if you need a little bit more rest before we move on to the next one. Otherwise, we're starting up group number 2, set 1. Our first exercise is the supine push-up. You're doing 14 repetitions on this one. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Now in this one, the closer you keep your feet in towards you, the harder it's going to be, the more weight you have to lift on your own. If you want to make it a little bit easier, you're going to scoot those feet a little further away from you. You can use that leverage to kind of pull yourself up a little bit, using those abdominal muscles some. But you want to make it hard as possible, so keep those feet in nice and close. All that effort should be coming just from those rhomboids, that back. And here's your last repetition right here. Go ahead and let it relax. Moving on to the next one. This is the Pilates shoulder bridge prep level 3. So you're using one leg for this one. I'm doing 14 repetitions on each side. Get ready. And begin. That right leg up first, pushing that left leg down to the ground. You want that heel as close to your butt as is comfortable. Press into that heel as hard as you can to shove those hips up towards the ceiling. And you want to keep that right leg nice and straight the entire time. Focus on that range of motion. You want to try to get those hips as low to the ground as possible without touching, and then press them up towards the ceiling as high as possible. We're almost done here. And switch those legs. This time pressing into the heel of that right foot. Really shoving those hips up nice and high. To make this a little bit harder on that core, you're going to reach those hands above your shoulder like in the video and actually reach towards the ceiling. And as you do that, it's going to pull your shoulders up off the ground and give you a narrower base of balance. It makes those core muscles all the way through your abs, your obliques, and your lower back have to work just a little bit harder. Gives you a little extra calorie burn. We're almost done. And let it relax. All right, we're moving on to the Pilates side hip raise level 3. This one's a really difficult one for those obliques. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. You want the arm fully extended down underneath that shoulder. You want those feet both extended straight out away from you. Drop that hip down towards the mat as close as you possibly can without touching, and then press it straight up as high as you can. At the same time, feeling like you're pulling your shoulder down underneath your torso. You want to get a really nice tight squeeze on that bottom side, the bottom oblique. So in this case, you'd be really focusing on trying to get that right side to really contract as hard as possible. Shoving that hip up there nice and high. We're almost done. And go ahead and let that one relax. We're going to switch sides. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Same thing, arm extended, legs extended. Pressing that hip up as high as you possibly can. Really trying to tuck that shoulder down underneath you as those obliques really pull that shoulder down into that hip. This time focusing on that left side, that left oblique. And just got a couple more repetitions. Here's your last one right here. And let it relax. All right, that is the end of set number 1 for group 2. We're moving on to set number 2. Back over with that supine push-up. And get ready. And begin. Remember, those feet should be nice and close in. The closer they are, the harder it's going to be. Really press into the back of that hand, lifting that chest up off the ground. Using nothing but that rhomboid, those muscles across those shoulder blades to press yourself up. Your hands are going to kind of try to slowly scoot down towards your waist, so you want to try to push them back up above the height of your shoulder. It's your last one right here. And let it relax. We're moving on to the Pilates shoulder bridge prep level 3. Remember, 14 repetitions on each side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. You want the heel of that left leg in as close to that butt as is comfortable. That right leg perfectly straight up above that hip. Really pressing into the heel of that left leg, shoving those hips up as high as you possibly can. Remember, those hands should be straight up above those shoulders, reaching towards the ceiling to give you a smaller point of balance. Make those core muscles have to work a little bit harder. We're almost done. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and switch those legs. Left leg up this time, pressing into the heel of that right leg, shoving those hips up nice and high, let them drop as close to the mat as possible without touching. Or that breathing, exhale up, inhale down. Concentrate on pulling those shoulder blades away from the mat, reaching up towards the ceiling. And we only have a couple more repetitions. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. And on to the Pilates side hip raises, level 3. Remember, 14 repetitions on each side for this one as well. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, keep that arm perfectly extended, those legs extended out nice and straight. Trying to get as much range of motion out as you can by dropping that hip as low to the ground as possible and then shoving it up as high as you can and pulling that shoulder down underneath. When you're up on your right arm like this, you really want to try to focus on pulling that right shoulder down into that right hip as tight as you possibly can at the top. Really try to get them as close together as you can. and then as far apart as possible as you stretch that hip back down to the ground. We're almost done. Here's your last repetition. Go ahead and let it relax. We're going to switch sides. Get ready. And begin. Remember, same thing, that left arm this time is going to be extended away from you, pulling that left shoulder down underneath, down towards that left hip as close as possible, and then letting it stretch away as far as possible as you drop that hip down towards the mat. Remember, focusing on as much range of motion as possible out of this. You want to keep that shoulder, that left shoulder, pushed down away from that neck as best you can. Don't let it push up into that neck. Those legs fully extended. This is your last repetition right here. And let it relax. All right, that was the end of set number 2. On to set number 3 for group number 2. We're starting again with that supine push-up, level 2. 14 repetitions. Go ahead and get ready. And begin, pressing as much weight into the back of those hands as you possibly can, shoving that chest up towards the ceiling as high as possible. Focus on keeping those feet in as close to your hips as you can. Remember, the closer they are, the harder it's going to be to lift that chest. You just have a few more repetitions to go through. Almost done. And that's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. On to the Pilates shoulder bridge prep level 3. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Pressing into the heel of that left leg. Right leg straight up above those hips. Reaching up towards the ceiling with those hands. Really squeezing those hips up as high as you can each time. Really concentrate on that form. As those legs get tired, that form's going to start getting sloppier and sloppier, so really concentrate on your form. We're almost done. And here's your last repetition right here. Go ahead and let it relax and switch those legs. The left leg comes straight up above those hips this time. Right leg's down as close to those hips as comfortable. Pressing into that right heel this time, really shoving those hips up nice and high. Reaching up towards the ceiling with those hands. Really concentrate on that range of motion. And we're almost done, just 2 more repetitions. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. On to the Pilates side hip raise. It's your last exercise for this round. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Press those hips up nice and high, really shoving that shoulder down underneath you as much as possible. Just keep that motion going nice and slow, under control. We're almost done. Just a few more repetitions. And there you go. There's your last one. Go ahead and let it relax. And go ahead and switch sides. Get ready. And begin. Really pressing that hip up there nice and high. Remember, it's all about that range of motion. Trying to get that hip as high in the air as you possibly can. Pulling that shoulder underneath you. Then letting that hip stretch down towards the ground as low as possible. Just got a few more through. One more. And let it relax. All right, that is the end of group number 2. Remember, you can pause it here if you need a little bit more rest. Otherwise, we're going to move right on to group number 3. We're starting off with the inverted push-up, so grab your chair or a bench. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. This is basically a military push-up, but using that chair for a little bit of assistance. You want your feet up in the seat of that chair or on that bench. Legs almost perfectly straight. You want to try to keep your hips right above your shoulders as best you can. It's not going to be perfect, but you want to try to keep it over top as much as possible. Just drop straight down, bending those elbows out to the side. And then press it straight back up. You want to get down as low as possible. Even tap that head to the ground a little bit if you can. This is your last repetition right here. and let it relax. All right, we're moving on to the lateral jumps. Doing 10 repetitions. We're only counting on one side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Get down nice and low and jump left to right as far as you possibly can. You want to try to keep your hips as low as possible. Move as quickly as you can. You only want that foot to touch for a split second before you're moving right back to the other side. We're almost done. And let it relax. All right, off to the jackknife crunch next. You're being down on the mat for this one. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Pressing up towards those toes as high as you can at the top. Laying out flat against the ground. Don't let those hands or toes touch. Keeping those abs constantly tight and making sure that lower back stays flat against the mat. That's the most important thing you can focus on, is making sure that your lower back is plastered to that mat. If it starts to lift up at all, you can actually injure your back a little bit. So make sure that back stays flat down to that mat as you lift those arms and legs up. And then crunch up towards those toes at the top as high as you possibly can to get that last little burn out of it. We've just got a few more repetitions to go. One more. And let it relax. And that's the end of the first set for group number 3. We're moving on to set number 2. Starting back over with the inverted push-up. There were 14 repetitions on this one. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Focus on keeping those hips right above those shoulders as best as you can. Dropping down as close to that mat as you can, even touching if you can, and then pushing it right back up. If you want this one to be a little bit more difficult, you can always stack a few books under both hands. Just make sure they're the same height. That way it'll give you a little extra range of motion out of it. Makes it a little bit more difficult that way. Just got a few more to go through. And there's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. On to those lateral jumps. Remember, you only count your repetitions on one side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, jumping as wide as you possibly can each time from left to right, keeping as low as possible. Spending as little amount of time on each side as you can. Just barely let that foot touch before you're jumping right back the opposite direction. We're almost done, just a few more repetitions. And here's your last one right here. Go ahead and let it relax. Moving on to the jackknife crunch. Get ready. And begin. Remember, that lower back should be plastered against that mat. Making sure those arms and legs are perfectly straight, simultaneously lowering them down to the ground, then lifting them straight up, and then that little crunch at the end, trying to touch those toes, getting a little extra range of motion out of it, making those abs have to work just a little bit harder. Just like I said, really focus on trying to keep that lower back flat against that mat. It makes it much more difficult, and also it keeps you from injuring your lower back. Just got a few more repetitions. Just a couple more. And last one right here. And let it relax. All right, that is the end of the second set for group number 3. Now we're going to be going to that last set. It's your last round on this one for the inverted push-up. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Hips are right above those shoulders as best you can. Keeping those legs out straight, feet up in that chair. Lower down as much as you can to the ground. Touch that forehead if you can, then press it right back up. Full extension on those arms. As always, try to get as much range of motion out of this as you can. Or you can always stack something underneath those hands to get a little more range of motion out of it. We're almost done. And there's your last repetition right there. Go ahead and let it relax. Moving back to those lateral jumps. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, staying low, jumping as wide as possible, and spending as little time on each foot as you can. As soon as that foot touches, you want to be jumping back the opposite direction. Just got a few more repetitions to go through. This is your last one. Keep it nice and low. And let it relax. Alright, on to that jackknife crunch for the last one for this round. Go ahead and get ready. And start it up. Lower back flat against that mat, arms and legs nice and straight. Really getting a nice tight squeeze, a nice tight crunch at the top of that range of motion. Focus on keeping those lungs open. You don't want to hold your breath. You should be inhaling and exhaling the entire time. So exhale as those arms and legs come up and you crunch, and inhale as they drop back down. Try to keep that motion nice and smooth under control. Don't swing your arms or legs up. It should be a nice slow raise. It should always be under control. Just focus on that form, getting as much range of motion as you can. We're almost done. And here's your last repetition right here. And let it relax. Alright, you're done with group number 3. We just have one group left. Remember, you can pause it here if you need a little bit more rest. Otherwise, we're moving on to set number 1 for group number 4. Our first one is a pull-up. You can do this with either a chin-up bar or like we're doing here with pull-up straps. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. It's just a traditional pull-up. Doesn't have to be wide or narrow. You can swap back and forth between the two of them. Just make sure you get a nice full range of motion out of this, all the way as high as you possibly can. Try to get those hands to your shoulders, and then full extension all the way back down. Try not to swing. You want to try to keep it as steady as you can. That was your last one right here. Go ahead and let it relax. And move on to the next one, which is the side plank with leg raise. Going to be down on the ground for this one. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. You're going to be a side plank with this. That left arm extended fully. You want to make sure your shoulders press down away from you. And while holding that plank position, you're going to lift that right leg up and out to the side as high as you possibly can. You're not going to feel like you have a whole lot of range of motion on this one, but just try to push as much out of it as you possibly can. We're almost done. And here's your last repetition right here. Go ahead and let it relax. We're going to switch sides. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Same exact thing, but on the right side this time, lifting that left leg as high as possible. This one's relatively difficult to keep your balance on, so you might need to let that foot touch every once in a while. Really control your motion. That'll help you control your balance. Don't kick that leg. The more you kick that leg, the more you're going to go off balance. And here's your last one. Go ahead and let it relax. Next one's a windshield wipers, level 2. We're going to be doing 10 repetitions in this one. We're going to be counting only on one side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. You're going to start with those legs perfectly straight, directly above those hips. You're going to drop off to the left side as far as you can go. And then you're going to bring them back up over top of those hips as you cross over to the right side as far as you can go. Now, as you cross those legs back and forth, watch those shoulders. As that leg drops off to the left side, your right shoulder is going to try to lift off the ground and vice versa. So make sure that you're pressing those shoulders down against that mat as tight as you possibly can the entire time, and never letting your legs go further than you can control. Continue to focus on that range of motion. Watch those legs, make sure they're staying as straight as possible. Really trying to push those shoulders flat down against the mat, and just keep that motion going. We're almost done. So have one more on each side. Back over to the right. And bring those legs back up and let it relax. Alright, that was the end of set number 1. We're on to set number 2. Back to those pull-ups. Remember, we're just doing 8 repetitions of this. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Really concentrate on keeping that form nice and solid, getting a full range of motion as low down as you possibly can, full extension on those arms, then pulling up as high as possible, trying to get those hands all the way up to those shoulders. Try not to swing. I'm doing an underhand pull-up on this one because we want to focus on that bicep, so really pull that hand in towards your shoulder. And that's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. We're going to move on to the side plank with leg raise. There's 12 repetitions on each side. Go ahead and get ready. Go ahead and begin. On that left side in that plank position, pressing that left hand down away from you, perfectly extended. That right leg's going to come up as high as you possibly can. Remember, you're going to feel a little bit of a limited range of motion on this one, but really push it as high as you possibly can. We're almost done, just a few more repetitions through. And one more. And there you go. All right, you're going to switch sides. Go ahead and get ready. And begin again, this time on your right side, lifting that left leg as high as possible. You want to keep that torso as straight as you can. Keep those hips up nice and high. Straight line from shoulder all the way down to your ankle. Really lifting that leg as high as possible. Just got a few more repetitions to go through. And one more. There you go. Go ahead and let it relax. All right, moving back to those windshield wipers. Get ready. And begin. Legs straight up above those hips to start. Rock them from left to right as far as you possibly can. Remember to keep those shoulders flat against that mat. Really working on that range of motion. But remember, don't push past where you can control. If those shoulders start coming up off the ground, you're not working that torso anymore. Really focus on keeping those legs under control. Nice, slow, fluid motion. Getting as much range of motion as you can. It's a nice, smooth pace. This isn't about speed. This is about as much range of motion as you can get. Just keep that motion going, nice and slow, under control. And we're almost done. Just have a couple more repetitions. Here's your last one on each side. Bring it back to the center. And let it relax. All right, that was the end of your second set. We just have one more set for this last group, and then that'll be it. Starting back over with the pull-ups. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember doing that underhand pull-up to focus on that bicep a little bit more. Get as high as you can at the top. Full extension on those arms at the bottom. Make sure that that arm is perfectly straight at the bottom. Remember, you don't want to ever limit your range of motion. That's just going to limit your overall strength. Just got a few more through here. Remember, try not to swing. Here's your last one all the way to the top. And let it relax. All right, we're on to the side plank with leg raise again. Get ready. And begin. Up in that left side, lifting that right leg as high as you can. Remember, try to keep a nice straight line all the way through that torso down to that leg. Really focusing on that range of motion on that right leg up as high as you possibly can. Just keep that motion going. Nice and slow, under control. Try not to kick that leg. You want a nice tight squeeze at the top if you can. Here's your last one. And let it relax. We're going to switch sides. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. We're on that right side this time, lifting that left leg as high as possible. Remember, still trying to keep that nice straight line through that torso down to that leg. Lifting that left leg up as high as possible. Nice, slow, controlled motion. Try not to kick that leg up. Get a tight squeeze at the top. We're almost done. And one more. There you go. Let it relax. All right, back onto those windshield wipers. This is your last one of this routine. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Legs straight up above those hips. Rocking those legs back and forth, left to right. Trying to get as much range of motion out of that torso as you can, but be sure not to let those shoulders off the ground. Just keep that motion going, nice and slow, under control. Really focus on that form as you start getting tired. If you need to, limit that range of motion. Just don't go quite as far from left to right. Just really concentrate on that form, which got a few more through. And we're almost done. You got 2 repetitions left. Over that right, back over the left. And one more over the right. And back up straight above those hips and let it relax. You are done with group number 4, which means you are completely done with this workout. Don't forget to cool down and stretch. Go to fitnessblender.com for more full-length workout videos and much, much more. If you like Fitness Blender's free workouts, then help us spread the word by telling everybody you know. After all, the more people that visit our site, the faster we can grow.